Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy immersive stories, compelling characters, and chapters that stay with you long after they end, you're in the right place. Be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a new release, and share the channel with fellow readers who appreciate powerful storytelling. Let's begin. Chapter 11. The Water Remembers. Jasmine kicked off her heels at the door with the kind of relief that felt like shedding a second skin. Her body was tired, but her mind hummed with quiet energy. It had been a full day at work, only her second at the new job, yet the weight of learning everything had not pressed on her spirit the way she expected. Every time she passed her desk and saw the bouquet of yellow roses waiting for her, petals bright as sunlight, something fluttered in her chest. It was impossible not to think about him. She loosened her blouse and walked toward her room, planning on a quick shower before settling into the evening. As she reached for her towel, she paused. Something inside her asked for stillness, for warmth, for gentleness. Not a shower, a bath. She turned and opened the cabinet under her sink, pulling out the lavender bubble bath she saved for special nights and a few vanilla candles she had been holding on to for a moment just like this. Tonight needed to be slow. Tonight needed to be soft. Tonight needed to hold her the way she wished someone else would. She turned on the water and watched the tub fill, steam rising in delicate swirls. She poured in the lavender and watched the bubbles bloom across the surface like white flowers waking at dawn. One by one, she lit the candles and placed them along the edge of the tub. Small flames flickered and steadied, painting moving shadows on the tile. Soft jazz drifted in from the living room and wrapped around her in gentle waves. She poured a glass of Merlot so deep and red it looked almost black in the candlelight. When the water was ready, she walked back into her bedroom and reached for the card he had written. It was still standing on her dresser beside the vase of roses she had brought home from work. She picked it up carefully, holding it as if it were something fragile. The handwriting alone warmed her. Those curved red letters, those lines that sounded like they were written by a man who had not only noticed her, but had been moved by her. She wanted to memorize every word. She carried the card back into the bathroom, set her wine on the tub ledge, and slid slowly into the warm water. Heat rose around her, drawing a long breath from deep in her chest. Her muscles loosened. Her shoulders sank beneath the bubbles. For the first time in a long time, her body felt cared for. She leaned her head back against the turf of the tub and opened the card. She read the poem slowly, letting each line land. A chill through my spine, running wild. Thoughts of you kept my soul in exile. Her chest tightened in the sweetest way. She could almost hear Anthony saying it, see him writing it. She pictured him pausing over each line, thinking of her face, her voice, the feel of her body pressed against his on the beach. She rested the card lightly against her chest, closed her eyes, and replayed the night in vivid detail. The quiet sand, the music, the way the breeze carried his scent toward her, the steady strength in his arms when he held her, the way her heartbeat had changed its rhythm to match his without asking permission. She felt again that strong, undeniable pull toward him, something deeper than the simple comfort of a stranger. It was as if her whole body had recognized him before her mind had a chance to argue. She read the poem again, slowly and carefully, as if she could find the exact moment on the page where she had begun to crave more of him. When she finally set the card aside, it slipped and landed face down. That was when she saw it. Call tonight. 323, 2210. She blinked, then sat up a little straighter. She pulled the card back into her hands and studied the writing. It looked new, the ink slightly bolder than the lines of the poem. The letters were firm and confident. A thrill rushed through her, excitement, curiosity, a warm little spark of being chosen. Her fingers trembled as she reached for her phone. She hesitated, lifted her hand, lowered it, then finally began to dial. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3 rings. She was about to hang up when a recorded voice came through, smooth and bright.
Hello.
Welcome to Fantasy Massage, the ultimate getaway where it is our pleasure to take you away from reality. If you are calling for the Hawaii package, please press 1. If you are calling for the European package, please press 2. If you are calling for the Far East package, please press 3. Or remain on the line for your fantasy operator. Jasmine froze. Fantasy massage, she whispered. What had she just called? She should have hung up. Curiosity kept her there. The bubbles around her rippled when she shifted, leaning forward in the water. A moment later, another voice came through, warmer and more personal. Hello, my name is Marie, and I will be your fantasy guide. How may I assist you in bringing your escape to life tonight? Jasmine cleared her throat. I am not really sure why I am calling. I was given this number with a gift. Not a problem at all. May I have your last name, please? Marie asked. Simmons, Jasmine answered, sinking a little deeper into the tub as suspense curled in her stomach. There was a pause. Keys tapped in the background. Then Marie returned. Yes, Miss Simmons, you are scheduled for the Hawaii Platinum package. What date would you like to reserve your getaway? The bubbles might as well have stopped moving. The Hawaii what? Jasmine asked slowly. The Hawaii Platinum package, Marie repeated. It is our most exclusive option. It includes a luxury limousine pickup from your residence, full access to our private escape facility, top-level services, and a guided relaxation itinerary. I am unable to reveal detailed activities because the sender requested confidentiality. Jasmine's heart thudded. Someone bought this for me. Yes, ma'am, Marie replied. The note says you should choose a Saturday this month and set aside the evening. All expenses have been covered. There is an opening this coming Saturday. Would you like that slot? Jasmine stared at the flickering candlelight, at the bubbles drifting slowly across the surface, at the card resting beside her glass. Something lifted inside her. The feeling of being thought of, planned for, cared for. Book it, she said softly. This Saturday is fine. Perfect, Marie said. You will be picked up at 4:45. May I have the address? 51 Sanders Street. Very good. You are confirmed for Saturday at 5. Is there anything else I can assist you with? No, Jasmine said. Thank you. Enjoy your getaway, Marie added. The line clicked. Silence filled the room again, except for the soft music and the faint hiss of candle wicks. Jasmine leaned back in the tub and stared up at the ceiling. The warm air felt different now, charged with possibility. Why would he do something like this? How much had it cost? What exactly would happen on Saturday? Why had he chosen this instead of simply asking her out again? She needed to tell someone. She reached for her phone and dialed Renee. It rang 3 times before going to voicemail. You have reached Renee. Sorry I cannot come to the phone right now. Leave a message and... I need you to call me as soon as... What is going on? Renee cut in, suddenly on the line. Jasmine sat up faster than she intended, water sloshing quietly. Girl, you will not believe what just happened, she said, the excitement rushing out of her. She told Renee everything. The flowers, the poem, the hidden number on the back of the card, the call to the fantasy massage, the Hawaii Platinum package. Renee let out a low whistle. Fantasy massage? Yes, I heard of them. One of the girls at my job went with her husband. She said it was nothing like she expected. They did the basic European package, but those platinum ones, I heard they are unreal. Well, this is the Hawaii Platinum package, Jasmine said, still trying to wrap her mind around it. Damn, Renee muttered. He must be really into you. Those things are expensive. Serious money. Jasmine frowned slightly. I did not ask for this, Renee. He chose to do it. I did not say you did, Renee replied. I am just saying it must be nice to meet a man who throws money around after one night. A small chill slid through Jasmine's chest. Renee, I called because I wanted to share something with you, not because I needed a warning label. I am only being honest, Renee said. Be careful. You do not really know this man. You met him in a cafe in the middle of the night. Things like that are not always safe. Jasmine's irritation flared. I am not going to let you ruin my mood. I appreciate your concern, but I can take care of myself. I will call you later." She hung up. The quiet that followed felt heavier than before. Something in Renee's tone had changed. There had been a sharpness under the words, a sour note she had not wanted to admit she heard. She tried to brush it off. Renee would come around. She always did. Still, the water did not feel as warm as it had a few minutes earlier. The bubbles had thinned. The candle seemed a little smaller. Jasmine rose from the tub, dried herself, and wrapped up in her robe. She walked back into her bedroom. The roses still sat on her dresser, bright and steady. She ran her fingers over one of the petals and felt a tenderness rise in her throat. She picked up her phone again and stared at the screen. "Should I call him?" she whispered. She hesitated, then dialed. It rang 4 times and went to a simple voicemail greeting. Just a number, no name. "Hello, Anthony. This is Jasmine," she said, her voice softening. "I got your surprise today. I loved it. I hope to hear from you soon." She hung up and climbed into bed. The television flickered through channels she could not focus on. She turned it off and slid down beneath the covers. Before resting her head on the pillow, she moved to the side of the bed and knelt, hands resting on the mattress. "Lord, thank you for today," she said quietly. "Thank you for new beginnings. Help me stay grounded. Help me stay open. Help me tell the difference between what feels good for a moment and what is truly meant for me." She rose, slipped back into bed, and looked across the room at the roses. He had not hurt her. He had not lied to her. He had not betrayed her trust. He had simply stepped into her life and made her feel seen, wanted, and considered. She smiled as her eyes drifted toward the window. The sky was clear enough to show a few faint stars. She closed her eyes with a soft whisper. "Thank you, God, for another day." The quiet settled around her, warm as a blanket, and her breath slowly deepened. As her eyes closed, she felt the faint pull of something unfamiliar moving through her life, quiet as a tide she could not yet name, already changing everything. Chapter 12. His Side of the Stars. Anthony woke before his alarm and lay staring at the dark ceiling while the last fragments of his dream dissolved. For a moment, he could not tell if he was still on the beach or in his bed. He could almost feel sand under his palms, Jasmine leaning back against his chest, her hair brushing his jaw, the pull of the ocean, and soft music in the background. Reality settled in slowly. The faint glow of his clock told him it was barely 6. The room was quiet, the city outside still deciding if it wanted to wake up. He lay there with one arm flung across the empty side of the mattress and let the memories return one by one. Her laugh, soft at first, then warmer as she relaxed. The way she had looked at him in the cafe, pretending not to stare while he pretended not to notice. The warmth of her hand when he held it. The way her body had rested against his when they danced. How right it had felt, like they had been drawn for that moment. He swallowed, his throat unexpectedly dry. He had wanted her. On that blanket, he had felt like a younger version of himself and a grown man at the same time. She had fit into his arms as if she had always belonged there. When the music slowed and she leaned fully into him, he had felt her breath catch when he pulled her closer. His body remembered every inch of that closeness. That was the part that unsettled him. If he had moved a little faster, if he had pushed past that quiet place where they both paused, it would have gone further. He knew that. He could see it clearly. It would have been easy to follow the heat instead of the feeling. Easy and wrong for where she was in her life and where he was in his. So instead, he let his hands speak, just enough to show her that she affected him. He traced the curve of her back, teased the line of her waistband, showed her how deeply he felt without taking everything she offered in that moment of hunger. When she stepped away, he let her go. When she trembled, he held her and steadied her. When the song faded, he kissed her forehead instead of her mouth, even though every part of him wanted to pull her closer and taste the answer waiting there. He had never felt drawn to someone that quickly. That was what scared him. Anthony pushed himself upright and sat on the edge of the bed, rubbing his hands over his face.
Morning light began to slip around the edges of the blinds. His room smelled faintly of his own cologne and a hint of jasmine from the oil in his diffuser.
The irony did not escape him. He reached for his phone out of habit. No new messages, no missed calls. Her number sat in his recent calls list, the pattern of digits lodged in his mind right beside the image of her under the cafe lights. Dark jeans molding to her shape, boots that made her legs look even longer, that soft shimmer on her lips he had wanted to kiss all night. He typed out a text twice and erased it both times. Good morning. I cannot stop thinking about you. Delete. Last night was something I did not know I needed. Delete. None of it felt right. Jasmine did not feel like a woman you approached with casual lines and emojis. Everything about her made him want to move with intention, not because she was fragile, but because she deserved more than careless words. He set the phone back down and let a long breath leave his chest. Relax, he muttered to himself. You are acting like you were 15. He padded to the kitchen and started the coffee, listening to the familiar drip and hiss. While it brewed, he leaned against the counter and let old shadows slide back in. He had done this before. Met a woman who felt different, fallen hard, believed, given more of himself than was wise. 3 years with Kyra. 3 years of late-night talks, stacked bills, and future plans. She had loved candles and silk sheets and little surprises. He had loved learning how to please her, learning her habits, learning the small ways to make her feel seen. He had thought that if he created enough warmth and safety, if he made their home and their bed a place of comfort and trust, it would be enough to hold them together. Then he had come home early from a trip one Friday and found another man's jacket on the back of his living room chair.
The memory still pinched behind his ribs. He could remember the scent of that evening, the way vanilla candles burned beside a glass of unfinished wine, the muffled sound from his bedroom, the heavy feeling in the air that told him the truth before he ever touched the doorknob. He had seen the warning signs before that night. The way Kyra's eyes drifted further away when he talked, the extra time she spent with her phone turned face down, the way she pulled away after they were intimate, as if she remembered something she had forgotten to feel. He had felt himself becoming a habit instead of a partner, a familiar place to rest until something more exciting came along. Anthony poured his coffee and carried it to the small table by the window. Traffic had begun to stir outside, a distant humming sound. He stared into the dark surface of the cup, watching it swirl. After Kyra, he had promised himself he would never again lose himself in someone who only saw him as an escape. No more pouring romance into people who never intended to stay. No more building careful fantasies for someone who only wanted to pass through and leave a mess behind. That was why Jasmine shook him so much. From the moment she walked into the cafe, tissue on her boot and quiet strength in her eyes, she had not looked like someone passing through. She looked like someone who could rearrange the furniture inside his life. He saw it in the way she carried herself, confident and guarded at the same time. In the brief flash of hurt that crossed her face when she spoke about the love that had turned out to be a mirage. In the way she had leaned into him on the beach, starved for comfort and connection, yet still holding tightly to an invisible edge. He wanted to cross that edge with her. Slowly, carefully, on purpose. Not like it had been with Kyra, where affection turned into a performance and promises came apart. With Jasmine, he pictured something different, something more sacred. He saw her in his living room with soft music playing, candles low, her trust resting in his hands. He did not just imagine heat, he imagined reverence. The kind of intimacy where every touch said, I see you, I honor you, you are safe here. He had spent enough time in his life just having sex. With Jasmine, if it ever went that far, he wanted it to be making love, the kind that left both of them more whole, not hollow. He took a sip of coffee and shook his head. These were not thoughts for a man who had shared one night of conversation and a slow dance on the sand. Yet they were there, and he did not know how to pretend they were not. He did not want Jasmine to become another story he wrote in his head and then watched crumble in real life. If anything was going to grow between them, he wanted her to step into it with eyes open, without games or pressure. Maybe that was why he had not called her back yet. That, and a stubborn streak he didn't like owning. Women who looked like Jasmine were used to being pursued. He had seen it at the cafe in the way other men's eyes followed her. She probably had a line of admirers who were quick to chase and slow to commit. He had no interest in being one more man trying to impress her with empty words. He wanted to see what she would do if he stepped back for a moment and left space for her to move toward him. He set the cup down and reached for the notepad on the table. He had started writing again in the last year, small poems and scattered lines, places to set feelings that did not fit anywhere else. The poem he had written for her still sat on the top sheet, the one he had copied into the card now on her dresser. He ran his thumb over the words. A chill through my spine running wild. Thoughts of you kept my soul in exile. He remembered the night he finished it. He had been lying on his couch, a movie planned that he was not watching. The scent of her perfume had lingered in his sweatshirt like it did not want to leave. He had picked up his pen, and the lines had poured out faster than he could question them. He had almost tossed the page when he was done, embarrassed by how open it was. Then he pictured her smile, the way her eyes softened when something truly touched her, and he folded it carefully instead. The roses had been the easy part. Yellow, not red. Bright, sincere, full of warmth without pressure. Red felt like a declaration he had not yet earned. The gift certificate had taken more thought. He had heard about the fantasy massage from a coworker who could not stop talking about taking his wife there. The way the man described it had stayed with Anthony. An escape, a place where someone could forget the world for a few hours and feel fully cared for. He had imagined Jasmine sinking into warm water, stress loosening from her shoulders. Skilled hands working the tension from her back and legs and feet. No expectations placed on her body, no demands, just care. He had imagined her exhaling in a way she probably had not in a long time. During his lunch break, he drove across town, walked into the quiet reception area, and chose the Hawaii Platinum package. When the receptionist said the price, he did not flinch. It was not about impressing her with money. It was about giving her a moment that did not ask anything in return. He wrote a simple message in the card, copied the poem, then added the secret number on the back, asking the staff to keep his name hidden until later. He wanted the night to feel like a gift, not an obligation. Now, all he could do was wonder if she had used it. His phone buzzed on the table. Anthony glanced at the screen and saw the missed call icon and a new voicemail notification. His heart jumped to his throat. He tapped the screen and saw her name. She had called. He stared at the phone for a long moment, thumb hovering over the voicemail button. Part of him wanted to listen immediately. Another part wanted to stretch out the anticipation, as if he could keep this feeling in the air a little longer. Part of him wanted to listen immediately.
"Stop it," he said under his breath. "You are not a kid." He hit play. "Hello, Anthony. This is Jasmine. I received your surprise, and I enjoyed it. I hope to hear from you soon." Her voice wrapped around him through the small speaker, warm and clear. There was a smile tucked into the words, a small breath at the start that told him she had been excited when she called. He played it again and again. On the third listen, he closed his eyes and pictured her at her desk. Roses beside her, card in her hand. Reading each line slowly, maybe shaking her head at the poem and then smiling anyway. He imagined her taking the card home, setting it on her dresser, touching it the way he had touched the page on his table. A slow grin spread across his face. She liked it. Something in his chest loosened and steadied. He opened his contacts and brought up her number. His thumb hovered over the call button. He could ring now. They could talk. He could hear that laugh again. They could make plans before the weekend and smooth out whatever nerves they both carried. He pictured something else instead. Her stepping into the limousine on Saturday, heart racing, not entirely sure what waited behind the tinted glass. The surprise mattered to him. The idea that for one evening she would not have to plan, chase, or fix anything. He pressed the phone to his forehead and closed his eyes. Give it a moment, he whispered to himself. Just a little more time. She had spent months chasing a man who threw her trust away. If Anthony had his say, this would be the last time she had to chase anyone who played with her heart.
He wanted to show up in a different way. He set the phone down and went to get ready for work. In the shower, as hot water streamed over his shoulders, his mind drifted back to the beach. The sight of her in the sweatshirt he had given her, sleeves a little long, fabric softening against the curves. Her bare feet in the sand, toes digging in, ankles strong and delicate at once. The memory tightened his chest and warmed his skin. For a brief second, he imagined what it might be like one day to share more than a night under the stars with her. To walk through a door knowing she would be on the other side. To build a space where she could finally rest. The image hit him hard enough that he reached for the cooler handle and turned the water down, letting the chill snap him back to the present. Not yet, he murmured, and nod in your head. Later that evening, he sat again at the small table, the apartment lit only by a lamp and the faint glow from the television down the hall. His phone lay face down beside a glass of water. He turned it over. No new messages. Part of him worried that waiting was already turning into distance, that she might hear his silence as disinterest, that she might tuck her feelings away before he even had a chance to show her his. He did not want her to feel like she had with Lewis, waiting by a phone that never rang. He picked up the device and scrolled to her name. His thumb brushed the edge of the screen, then drifted away. Tomorrow, he said quietly. I will call tomorrow. He leaned back in his chair and looked out of the window. The sky above the buildings was hazy, but he knew the stars were there, hidden by the city glow. He had seen them clear as crystal the night they met, hanging over the water like a ceiling of tiny lanterns. He wondered if Jasmine was looking up at them in that moment, perhaps from her own bedroom window. If she was thinking about the same question he had asked her in the cafe. Do you believe in soulmates? He had not been sure he did anymore, not after Kyra, not after watching friends promise forever and then split apart over secrets and pride. Then Jasmine walked into a cafe on a late night, tissue on her boot and light in her eyes, and something inside him that had been quiet for a long time stirred again. Maybe there was more for him than temporary comfort. Maybe there was a woman who could lie beside him under the stars and still be there when the sun came up. He stood, crossed the room, and turned off the lamp. In the dim window, his reflection looked thoughtful and a little tired. You better not mess this up, he told himself with a crooked smile. When he finally lay down, he did so with her voicemail still playing in his mind, her voice filling in the spaces that used to echo with disappointment. He stared at the ceiling and imagined her lying in her own bed, flowers on her dresser, the card within reach. Somewhere between waking and sleep, he whispered a small prayer he would never admit out loud. Let me be careful with her. Let her be careful with me. And if this is meant to be more than one beautiful night by the water, help me not be too afraid to step into it. Chapter 13. The Unsettling Silence. Jasmine sat back in her chair, letting the glow of her computer screen blur as she tried to push Lewis from her thoughts. She had already spent too much of the afternoon replaying the confrontation with him and the strange tone Renee used on the phone. No matter how hard she tried to drown it all out with work, the feelings clung to her like static she could not shake. She inhaled slowly, promising herself she would get through the last hour of the workday without incident. She had already survived more emotional whiplash in the past 2 days than she cared to admit. Her one comfort was the memory of Anthony, his touch, his scent, his voice, the way her body had awakened under his hands on the beach. Every time she allowed herself to think of him, the tension inside her loosened just enough to let her breathe.
She had almost drifted into a calmer state when Aaron's voice chimed through the intercom. Jasmine, there is a package at the front desk for you. Her heart kicked at her ribs. Anticipation rose too quickly and far too high. Flowers again, maybe. Something thoughtful, something soft, something that belonged to Anthony. She walked toward the front desk with a faint smile that dissolved the moment she saw the vase. Long-stemmed red roses,
Heavy, velvety, dramatic, too familiar, too calculated. Aaron beamed with curiosity. You must be pretty special. You got yellow ones before and now red ones. Maybe pink will be next. Jasmine swallowed her disappointment, but she knew her face betrayed the shift in her mood. She forced a polite smile, stepped closer, and caught the scent. It was cloying, thick,
overbearing, a floral version of everything she no longer wanted in her life. She retrieved the small envelope attached to the vase. The handwriting tried too hard to be romantic. She opened it slowly, bracing herself. Jasmine, I cannot stop thinking about you. Every night when I close my eyes, I see your face instead of sleeping. I feel my chest tighten because the space beside me is empty. Losing you has been the hardest lesson of my life. I have suffered every second of it. Her jaw clenched. He had not been suffering when he was buried in someone else. You knew my heart better than anyone. You knew how to calm me and steady me. I did not appreciate that the way I should have. I realize it now. I realize everything now. I took your love for granted. I took you for granted. I was wrong. I was selfish.
I am sorry. Disgust rose in her chest. Now he was sorry, now that he had no one left to lean on. I miss your laughter. I miss the sound of your voice. I miss the way you once looked at me like I was someone worthy of love. I pray every night for just one more chance. I pray that somewhere inside you there is a place where I am not forgotten. She had not forgotten. She remembered her stomach dropping the moment she saw that woman straddling him over his office chair. If I must rebuild everything from the beginning, then I will. If I must move mountains to regain your trust, I will. The passion we shared was real. I know it can be real again. My heart aches without you. My soul feels empty. I am not ashamed to say I cry at night because I cannot hold you or hear you say my name. She glared at the page.
He had not shed a single tear when he told her to calm down while pulling up his pants. Please, forgive me. Let me try again. I am waiting with open arms. I miss you, Louis. The final line blurred as her anger thickened in her chest. Everything about the note felt rehearsed and convenient, like a script he had used before. He wrote like a man performing remorse, not a man experiencing it. She folded the letter in half, then in half again. She made herself smile before she buzzed Aaron. Aaron, could you come here for a moment? Aaron hurried back. Yes, what do you need? Take these, Jasmine said. You love flowers. Put them out front so everyone can enjoy them. Aaron blinked with surprise. Are you sure? They are beautiful. Why not take them home? I already have some at home, and I do not like red roses.
The lie came easily. She had loved red roses once, before Louis poisoned them. Jasmine dropped a card into her small office trash can, tore it into tiny pieces, and pressed them down until they disappeared beneath old sticky notes and gum wrappers. She grabbed her purse, keys, and jacket and headed for the elevator. Her body felt heavy and trembling at the same time. She stepped inside, waited for the doors to close, then grabbed the railing behind her, bent her head down, and let out a low growl from deep in her throat. She wanted to scream until her lungs emptied, but she forced herself to swallow the worst of it. She rushed to her car. Once seated, she shut the door, gripped the steering wheel, lowered her head, and finally screamed like a woman purging poison. The sound bounced off the windows and faded.
When she was done, she dragged in a shaky breath and started the engine. On the drive home, she checked her house messages through the car system. Her heart beat faster, hoping to hear Anthony's voice, even for a second. Instead, she heard automated reminders, a notice about a bill, and a telemarketer offering some special plan. No Anthony. A familiar ache nudged the back of her chest. She turned onto the strip and let her eyes wander over shop windows, trying to distract herself. Maybe she would buy something for the weekend getaway. A robe, a silk wrap,
something that made her feel beautiful just for herself. Then she saw him, Louis. He was walking toward Renee's building. Her stomach dropped. Her foot eased off the gas. Her breath paused mid-inhale. Renee came out seconds later. She walked straight into Louis's arms, as if she belonged there.
Their hug lingered too long. His hand slid down her back in a way that was not innocent. Renee laughed at something he whispered. They turned and walked away together, fingers laced, hands joined. The sight sliced through her. First the roses, the ladder, the pleading, now this. She sat in her car frozen, staring until her eyes stung. Heat burned behind her ribs. Her throat tightened. She blinked hard, forcing the tears away. They would not take anything else from her, not even her breakdown. She drove off. She would not break. Not tonight. She had a massage getaway coming. She had a new job. She had a life that was trying to grow again, even if it was still fragile. At home, she played her messages. One was from the fantasy massage operator, confirming her upcoming appointment. She called back, secured the time, and wrote it carefully on a notepad by the phone.
The excitement she felt earlier returned just enough to lift her mood. She poured a glass of wine and sat on the couch, determined not to sink into another spiral. Her gaze drifted to the framed picture on the table. Her, Renee, Louis, all three smiling at an amusement park. The image felt false now, a lie trapped behind glass. She picked it up, studied their faces, then tossed it into the trash can. The crack of breaking glass rang through the room. She felt a small, sharp relief at the sound. In her bedroom, she sipped her wine and reached for the small paper still scented with Anthony's cologne. She held it beneath her nose and closed her eyes. Warmth spread through her body, pulling her back to the night on the beach. His touch, his voice, the way he had looked at her as if he saw something rare. She wanted him. She wanted to hear his voice. She called him again. 4 rings. Voicemail. No greeting in his tone, no trace of a smile. Just the generic automated recording. She ended the call and set the phone aside. Her body felt restless, her thoughts tangled with desire and frustration. Longing set thick in the back of her throat. She needed release, needed escape, needed something to quiet the ache that lived between disappointment and anticipation. She opened her closet and pulled down the shoebox. In her room, she dimmed the lights, turned on music low, and climbed into bed. Her hand found what she kept hidden for nights like this. She let her mind go where her body already wanted to be. She imagined the weight of Anthony's body pressing her into the blanket, the warmth of his chest against her back,
his breath at her ear, the low way he might say her name when he finally gave in to everything he had been holding in restraint. Her back arched, her breath trembled. Pleasure tightened into a slow, consuming wave and rolled through her. Her body shook as quiet sounds slipped from her lips, the last of her tension draining away. After, she washed up, put the box away, and slid beneath the covers, feeling calmer, but not complete. The silence in her room reminded her of everything still unresolved. Anthony's distance, Renee's shift, Louis's manipulation. The sharp image of 2 people she trusted walking away hand in hand. She turned her head toward the dresser. The yellow roses Anthony sent still stood bright and full, a soft burst of color against the shadows. A reminder of something new, something unspoiled. She looked out of the window at the night sky and let a quiet prayer settle in her chest until the tightness inside her eased. Thank you, God, for another day. Sleep finally found her. The apartment went still, but the silence felt alive, waiting for morning and whatever truth would come with it.
Chapter 14. The Breaking Point. The phone ripped through Jasmine's sleep like a blade. She jerked awake in the dark, heart hammering, the red glow of the clock staring back at her from the nightstand. 2 o'clock in the morning. The ringing went on and on. Whoever was calling at this hour had better be bleeding, she thought as she fumbled for the receiver. Hello?
Her voice came out sharp and cold. A familiar tremble met her on the other end. "Sorry for waking you. I needed to talk to you." Every muscle in her body went rigid. "Louis?" "Yes, I could not sleep. I kept tossing and turning, and I needed to hear your voice." She closed her eyes and exhaled through her teeth. "It is after 2 in the morning. Why are you calling me again? Why can you not leave me alone? What do you want? You are getting on my last nerve."
"I mean it. You are really starting to scare me. I keep thinking about us, about you. I need you, Jasmine." She laughed once, without any humor. "You need therapy." "I am serious. So am I. Go on with your life. I have already gone on with mine. You calling me like this is not love. It is harassment. You are hurting yourself and pushing me into a place where I cannot stand the sound of your voice. Please forgive me, please. I need you in my life. I want to try again. We have nothing. Do you hear me? Nothing. I need you to understand that. Yes, I loved you once. I loved you in a way I will never love anyone again. But that love is gone, dead, buried. I do not owe you anything. I have changed." She sat up straighter in the bed. "You have changed overnight? Interesting. Tell me, Louis, what part of you changed? Did you change before or after you sent roses to my job? Before or after you walked hand in hand with Renee in front of her building? Before or after you had Natalie spread across your office couch with the blinds half open like you were proud of it?" He sucked in a breath. She heard it. She did not care. "Jasmine, please. The thought of you being with another man is driving me crazy." "Then go crazy. You earned it. And let me make something clear. If I was with someone else, you would be the last man on earth I would explain that to." Silence stretched between them, thin and shaken. "Why are you punishing me for my mistake?" he whispered. "Punishing you?" Her voice sharpened. "You did not make a mistake. You made choices. You chose her. You chose sex. You chose deceit. You chose to treat me like an option while you ran after fantasies. Now you want to cry into the phone because the consequences finally showed up. I love you, Jasmine. I really do." "No. You love the version of me that worshipped you. You love the version of me that cleaned your mess and cooked your meals and covered your insecurities. Now that I am not that woman anymore, you are panicking. So let me help you understand something. I will never be that woman again. Please do not leave me." His voice cracked. She could hear his breathing turn rough and uneven. Her stomach clenched as the image flashed in her mind. Louis and Renee outside that building earlier, his hand on her back, their fingers laced together like nothing in the world was broken. "Leave you," she repeated quietly. "Louis, I left you the moment I walked in on you and Natalie. Truth is, I left you years ago and did not know it. Please do not leave me." His voice cracked. She could hear his breathing turn rough and uneven. Her stomach clenched as the image flashed in her mind. Louis and Renee outside that building earlier, his hand on her back, their fingers laced together like nothing in the world was broken. "Leave you?" she repeated quietly. "Louis, I left you the moment I walked in on you and Natalie. Truth is, I left you years ago and did not know it. Since you want honesty, since you want truth, I am going to give you truth." She tightened her grip on the phone. "I do not love you. I do not want you. I do not respect you. I do not even like you. Every time you speak, I feel sick. Hearing your voice makes my skin crawl. It reminds me of every lie you told, and every night I cried myself to sleep while you were somewhere else. Change your number, block mine, lose my address, erase me from your memory, because I erased you from mine." He sobbed. His voice broke on her name. "Jasmine, please." "No, call your new friend. Or, better yet, call Renee. She seems to be getting pretty close." Her words came out like a blade.
Ask her for comfort. Ask her why she has been feeding you my business, because after tonight, she will not be able to. I am changing every number I have. She will not get them. You will not get them. Nobody will. I bet Anthony already has them. Everything inside her went still. Heat flared so fast she felt her hands start to shake. I will not even respond to that, she said through clenched teeth. I will not give you the satisfaction. Goodbye, Louis. She slammed the phone down so hard the lamp rattled on the nightstand. Her whole body trembled. She grabbed her pillow and pressed her face into it, letting out a scream that stayed trapped in the fabric, her shoulders shaking, her chest rising and falling in hard jerks. Her eyes burned. Her fingers dug into the cotton until they ached. She could not believe he had the nerve to call her after everything he had done. After the office, after the lies, after the roses at work, after the letter.
After seeing him with Renee, arms wrapped around the same man he claimed to be suffering over. Her thoughts spun in sharp circles. Her breathing turned jagged. She dropped back into the sheets and stared at the ceiling. She could not change her number yet, not until she heard from Anthony. The fact that she even had to calculate around Louis made her angrier. He had managed to drip his poison into places that had nothing to do with him. Across town, Louis sat hunched on his sofa, elbows on his knees, hands pressed so hard against his forehead it hurt. Sweat beaded along his hairline. His chest rose and fell like he had run hard in a long hallway with no exit. Jasmine's words replayed in his head, each sentence heavier than the last. I do not love you. I do not want you. I do not respect you. He stood up too fast and stumbled. The room spun. He grabbed the coffee table for balance and reached for the bottle of rum sitting there. He poured a shot, tossed it back, hissed at the burn, and skipped the glass the next time. He drank straight from the bottle, long gulps that did nothing to loosen the knot in his throat. He dropped down on the floor and dragged an old photo album from beneath the table. The cover creaked as he opened it. Pictures stared back at him. Jasmine and Louis at cookouts. Jasmine and Louis on road trips. Jasmine leaning into him, laughing at something he could not even remember now. Each smile felt like a slap. His vision blurred. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. The tears came anyway, steady and stubborn. What did I do? He whispered. The room did not answer. The clock on the wall ticked like it was mocking him. He flipped another page. More pictures. More proof that he had once held something he did not know how to keep. The loneliness pressed down on him until his chest hurt. He grabbed the cordless phone from between the sofa cushions and punched in a familiar number without thinking. Natalie picked up on the second ring. Hello? It is me, he muttered. Did I wake you? No, she said lightly. But look what the cat dragged in. How are you, stranger? I was hoping we could talk, he said. Maybe get together. I was thinking about you. She paused, then let out a low laugh. I am sure you were. I mean it. I needed to hear your voice. Louis, let me ask you something. Her tone changed. The playfulness dropped away. If I was your woman, would you have treated me the way you treated Jasmine?
I would never do that to you. You said the same thing to her. That was different. No, she said, it was not. He swallowed. You care about yourself, she continued. You cared about sex. You cared about the rush of doing something reckless. You knew what you were doing. That is not true. So what did you want from me then? She asked. A second girlfriend? A backup plan? A plaything? Be honest. That is all it was. You know it and I know it. That is not all it was, he said weakly. I had feelings for you. She snorted. Louis, be serious. You were lonely and horny. I was available. You wanted thrills. I wanted release. We used each other and it ended. You destroyed your relationship over something that was never gonna last. He closed his eyes. What does that say about you? He whispered. That I was being selfish and stupid, she said. But I was single. You were not. You risked everything for something you could not keep. You lost everything because of it. I can fix this, he said. I can fix us. There is no us. He heard movement on her end, a low murmur, the sound of another voice too far away to make out. And Louis, she added, her tone firm now, do me a favor. Do not call me again. My partner would not appreciate it. Hello? Natalie, hello? The line went dead. He stared at the phone, heart pounding, ears ringing. He dialed again and reached her voicemail. He left the message anyway, voice cracking as he begged her to call back. She did not. He let the phone slip from his hand and hit the carpet. He dropped his head into his palms. The room felt smaller, the silence louder. What did I do? He whispered again, softer this time. How could I have been so stupid? There was no answer, just the ticking clock and the weight of a night he could not drink his way out of.
Chapter 15. The Unsettling Silence. Jasmine woke the next morning with a heaviness she had not expected. The argument with Louis, the disappointment with Renee, the weeks of emotional whiplash, all of it sat inside her like luggage she had forgotten to unpack. Her body felt tight, her spirit felt tired. She moved through her morning slow, each motion weighted, as if she were walking through water. At work, she held herself together with quiet determination, smiling when she had to, answering questions, learning new procedures, doing everything she could to keep the chaos inside from spilling over. Under the surface, she felt frayed at the edges. Seeing Louis outside Renee's building later that day cut deeper than she wanted to admit. She had been driving down the street, mind drifting toward the weekend and the massage getaway, when she saw him. Louis stood on the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, shoulders slightly hunched. Renee came out of the building and walked straight into his arms. Their hug lingered. Too comfortable, too familiar. His hand slid down her back in a way that was not innocent. Renee laughed at something he whispered, her head tilting back, her hand brushing his chest. They walked away side by side, fingers laced together. It felt like someone pressed a cold hand straight into Jasmine's chest. She drove past with her face turned forward, but the image burned itself into her mind. The betrayal, the confusion, the fear that maybe she had never really known either of them at all. By the time she got home, the day had stretched her thin. She dropped her purse by the door, slipped off her shoes, and left them where they fell. She went straight to the bedroom without turning on any bright lights. She lit a few passion fruit candles and turned on her favorite slow jazz playlist. The music wrapped itself around her, warm and steady, a soft blanket over a raw wound. She went to run a bath and watched the steam rise, filling the small bathroom with a hazy comfort. She slid into the water with a long, quiet sigh, letting the heat cradle her muscles and ease some of the tightness in her shoulders. For a few minutes, she did nothing but breathe, eyes closed, listening to the music through the half-open door. Still, even as she tried to unwind, her mind betrayed her. Anthony. His name drifted in like an unexpected breeze. She saw him in her thoughts, standing under the lights at the cafe. The way he had looked at her, steady and curious. The way he had held her on the beach while the waves whispered behind him. The way he had seemed to read parts of her she had not said out loud. And the way he had not called. Weeks. No voice, no text, just the memory of him, living in her mind like he had never left. Just thinking his name made something in her chest soften and twist at the same time. She did not know if she should lean into that feeling or push it away. She leaned anyway. After her bath, she dried off, slipped into a robe, and settled onto the sofa in the dim glow of candlelight. The music swayed around her. She tucked her legs beneath her and let her mind drift back to the night at the beach. She remembered the shape of him, the easy strength in his shoulders, the natural way he carried himself, the slight bow in his legs, something she had never found attractive on anyone until she saw it on him. On him, it looked right, like his body had been carved exactly as it was meant to be. She remembered his laugh, that low, warm rumble she had felt in her chest as much as heard in her ears. Her thoughts swirled with a hunger she could not easily name, a mix of craving and curiosity, tenderness and heat. She had been forcing herself to ignore it, telling herself it was too soon, too fragile, too risky. Then the phone rang. Her breath caught. She stared at the receiver as if it might answer itself. She reached for it with trembling fingers. "Hello? Hey, Jasmine," he said. His voice flowed through the line, deep and unhurried, warm enough to uncoil every tense nerve in her body. "It is me." Something in his tone, something steady and sincere, slipped under her guard. "Anthony," she breathed, "I was beginning to think you vanished." He laughed softly, that same gentle sound she remembered from the beach. "No, I did not vanish," he said. "I just needed time." "Time for what?" she asked. "To think," he said. "To make sure I was not moving too fast. To figure out what I really wanted before I dragged you into anything." She curled deeper into the sofa cushions, fingers tightening around the phone. "You could have told me," she said quietly. "I did not know what to think when you did not call." "I know," he replied. "That is on me. I did not want to be that man who disappears and then comes back like nothing happened. I just did not want to ruin something that already felt different." Her breath steadied a little. "Different how?" she asked. He paused before he answered, as if choosing his words carefully. "You were not trying to impress me," he said. "You were not putting on a show. You were just you, real, warm, beautiful. I respected that, and it scared me a little, because I did not want to treat you like I treated women in my past." "What do you mean?" she asked, softer now. "I was not always careful," he said. "I did not always slow down. I let things get physical too fast, and then realized I had nothing real to build from. I did not want that with you." "Anthony," she murmured, "I appreciate you saying that. I really do." "I figured you deserved honesty," he said. "I did not want you thinking I stayed away because I was not interested. The truth is the opposite." "And what truth is that?" she asked. "That I thought about you almost every day," he said. "That I remembered the way you looked at me on that beach, the way you felt in my arms, the way you made me want to pace myself so I did not do something to mess this up." Her heart tightened. "I wondered about you, too," she admitted. He let out a slow breath she could hear through the line. "Good," he said, "because I did not want that night to be the end." The air between them changed. Not rushed, not reckless, just full. "Can I ask you something honest, Jasmine?" he said. "Yes." "When you thought about me," he asked, "what came to mind?" Her pulse jumped. She hesitated, then decided to risk a small piece of truth. "I thought about the way you held me," she said. "The way you made me feel safe. The way you made me feel wanted without trying so hard." "And nothing else?" he asked gently, a smile hiding in his tone. She swallowed. "Maybe more," she whispered. "Tell me," he said. She shook her head, even though he could not see it. "You go first." He laughed, that deep, warm sound that always seemed to loosen something inside her. "Fine," he said. "I'll tell you what I thought about." She waited, heart beating too fast. "I thought about how close I came to kissing you," he said. "How badly I wanted to, and how much control it took not to lay you down on that blanket and forget about everything else." Her breath hitched. "I did not do it," he continued softly, "because I did not want passion to outrun intention. I wanted to respect whatever this is between us." Jasmine closed her eyes, letting those words sink in. "Anthony," she whispered. "You felt it too," he said. "I know you did." She did not deny it. Silence drifted between them, but it was full, not empty. "So what do we do now?" she asked. "We take our time," he said. "We talk, we learn each other, and when we step into something deeper, we do it because we both know what we are walking into, not because we were caught up in the moment." Her chest lifted in a slow breath. "I want that," she said. "So do I," he replied. His voice dipped lower, not just smooth, but sincere. "If you want," he said,
We can talk about the rest of that night. Not the what-if part, the real part, the way it felt, the way it changed things. I am listening, she said. He did not rush. He did not turn the conversation into something prude. He walked her back through the evening with quiet detail, focusing on how they had talked, how she had shared pieces of her past, how he had seen the strength under her softness. He reminded her of the way she had leaned into him when the ocean breeze grew cooler. The way their breathing had matched without them trying? The way the world had faded until there was only the two of them and the sound of water? He spoke about trust more than touch, about intention more than urgency. I wanted you, he admitted, but more than that, I wanted you to feel safe with me. I still do. Jasmine felt her eyes sting. No one had ever talked to her like that. Not about her body, not about her heart, not about both at the same time. Anthony, she said quietly, can I ask you something? Anything. Why now? She asked. Why call tonight? He was quiet for a moment. Because I heard your voice on that message again, he said. Because I was sitting in my kitchen, looking at the stars through the window, and I realized something. I was waiting for the perfect moment. There is no such thing. There is only a good woman I am interested in and a phone I need to pick up. Her lips curved despite the weight of her day. I am glad you did, she said. Me too, he replied. And Jasmine. Yes. I would like to see you, he said. In person. Not tonight. I will respect your rest. Let me take you somewhere after your massage this weekend. Or just come by and bring dinner. No pressure, no expectations, just time. Her mind flashed to Louis and his late-night drama, to Renee and her secrets, to all the ways men had taken from her without asking what she needed first. Dinner sounds nice, she said. Slow sounds nice. Then slow it is, he answered. You tell me when you are ready, I will be there. They talked a little longer. About work, about music, about the small details that make up a real life, not just a fantasy.
When they finally said goodnight, she lay there for a moment with the receiver still in her hand, listening to the quiet tone after the line disconnected. She set the phone down gently and leaned back into the sofa. The candle still flickered. The jazz still floated through the room. The heaviness from the morning had not completely disappeared, but it no longer owned her. She stood, walked to the bedroom, and paused at the dresser. The yellow roses from Anthony were still bright, their scent soft in the air. She reached out and touched one petal with the tip of her finger. For the first time in a long while, she did not feel like a woman waiting to see how badly the next man would hurt her. She felt like a woman standing at the edge of something new, something that might still go wrong, but might also finally be right. She knelt beside the bed, rested her elbows on the mattress, and bowed her head. God, she whispered, thank you for tonight, for honesty, for clarity. Help me protect my heart. Help me see people for who they are, and if this man is meant for me, help me walk into it with wisdom. If he is not, help me let go before I fall. She climbed into bed and pulled the covers to her chin. The silence in the room felt different now, not empty. Not loud, just still. As sleep began to pull her under, her last thought was simple and steady. For the first time in a long time, she did not feel alone. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this chapter, make sure to like and subscribe so you're notified as new chapters are released. Share the channel with others who love powerful storytelling. I truly appreciate your support.